Hi everyone, today's video is taken at the beautiful Villa Ockenberg in a local park near my home in The Hague, and it's just beautiful and peaceful here. It's a bit cloudy, but it's just still with no wind, so it's great to be out in the fresh air. Today's video is about my first month with Wirestock and the results that I obtained with that agency, and also my stock photography and videography earnings for the month of August 2021. So let's get started. So we'll get started with Shutterstock, and with Shutterstock I have just over 2,200 images in my portfolio, and I've got 139 videos. For the month of August I earned $50.78 for that agency. There were a couple of highlights. One was of a photo I took of a vineyard in Richmond, Tasmania, and that photo, which was an editorial photo, earned me $2.29. And the other big highlight was that I sold a video. It wasn't my usual video of the poor northern gannet trapped in plastic. It was of a political farmers protest in the Netherlands, protesting about the government's environmental laws which are going to impact farmers. And that video earned me $17.36. So it was great to get that video in the bag. It was taken with my old iPhone 4 as just HD. And I think in my last video, when I was talking about how to make money with my iPhone or my phone camera, I said that the video that I sold was of a electric car charging during a snowstorm in August. But I made a mistake. That was actually a video sale which I sold for around the same price back in July. So my August sale was of a political farmers protest, not of a car in a snowstorm. Another highlight or interesting fact was of a photo that I took of a electric bike battery pack, which is sitting on the back of the bike, and the bike's just parked on a Dutch street. And I was visiting my mother-in-law who lives in a small community in the south of the Netherlands, and she was all excited because she'd seen this photo and my name under the photo in her local newspaper. And it was quite nice because for years I'd been harassing my in-laws with my camera and taking photos of their hearing aids and anything else I could think of. So it was nice that I got some recognition for all of those years where they just thought I was a bit of a nutter with a camera. But despite that, I think the circulation of the newspaper in that region is between 10 and 20,000. That photo only sold for 59 cents. Well, it sold for more, but I only received 59 cents for that. Okay, my next agency is IStockGetty, and with IStockGetty I've got around 1,279 images and 60 videos in my portfolio. And I earned a total of $16.65 with IStockGetty for August. And one of the highlights was a photo I sold of a stuntman during a public exhibition a few years ago. And the stuntman was simulating being on fire. Well, he wasn't simulating being on fire, he actually was on fire, but it was under controlled conditions. That was an editorial photo, and that sold for $2.85. Another highlight, which was one of the few highlights for IStockGetty, was of some retro luggage that was on top of a vintage VW Bug or Beetle car, and that image, which was also editorial, sold for $1.15. So not too many highlights for IStockGetty for August. And now on to Pond 5, and for Pond 5 I've got around 250 videos. I uploaded about 40 or 50 photos as well, but I've never sold one of those, so I just consider Pond 5 to be a video agency for me. And I sold one video in August with Pond 5, and that was of a commercial video of a school of wild carp. And I think it was in Limburg a year or two ago, where we went to a castle, and in the moat of this ancient castle were schools and schools of these wild European carp. And I just leaned against the wall with my, I'm not even sure if it was with my camera or my phone, but I just held my camera or phone still and just let the carp move in and out of the frame. It was a really easy video, it took about 30 seconds to make, and that video earned me $10. Okay, now my smaller fish or smaller agencies, and IEM was a bit of a non-starter for me in August, and I only sold 2 photos of mustard pots. They were for under 20 cents. And deposit photos, I sold 5 photos for a total of $125. One highlight was that I sold a photo of a tick on my arm, and during that summer our cats had taken in a lot of ticks on their skin until we decided to put these special collars that protect them against these parasites. I thought it would be a good idea for a stock photo just to take one of these dead ticks and put it on my arm and simulate removing the tick with some tick pincers. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, and I don't recommend it because ticks are full of diseases. I did wash my hands and arm thoroughly afterwards, but that photo sold just for 25 cents. But I just thought it was an interesting photo to create, and luckily I got a sale for it. Okay, now on to 123RF, another small agency, and I only sold 8 photos for 123RF in August and earned a total of $2.48. There were a couple of interesting highlights. One was of a Tesla electric vehicle charging, a close-up of the plug-in charger, and that was 43 cents, that sale. And another one was of the swimming pool at a place we visited in Croatia about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was an editorial photo just of the swimming pool and a nice line of beach umbrellas lining the outside of the pool. That sold for 42 cents. Okay, another small fish for August was Dreams Time, and I have 2,100 images on Dreams Time. I never sell any videos. And one highlight was of a ring-necked parrot. And these ring-necked parrots have escaped captivity in Europe, Britain and Netherlands, and probably Germany and France. And normally they're seen as a tropical bird, but this photo I sold, which was a commercial photo, was of a ring-necked parrot in a local park in The Hague. And this parrot was in a tree that was covered in snow. So I think this photo sells because it is so unusual that people don't really associate these ring-necked parrots, which have been wild for about 30 or 40 years in Europe now, and are just flying free everywhere. They associate those birds with warmer climates. So the photo of it being in a snowy area is really different, and probably quite rare, and that's why it has been downloaded a few times from my portfolio. That sold for 38 cents. Not so spectacular. In total, I earned $6.60 from Dreamstime in August. Okay, finishing with the small fish now and onto Alamy. Alamy has been pretty hit and miss this year, but in August I sold one photo, and that photo was of a vertical style or portrait style editorial image, and it was taken at a local beach in The Hague in the summer during a heat wave. And it just shows steps or stairs going down to a crowded beach with the sand and the sea in the background, and crowds of people and beach cafes. That photo earned me $13.38, and I probably won't get paid until the customer pays for it, but I'll just register it as a sale for August. Okay, and now onto Adobe Stock. I was having a pretty average month with Adobe Stock right up until the last day of August, where I just got one big sale. In total, I have a portfolio of just over 1,000 photos and some videos with Adobe. I never really sell videos on Adobe Stock for some reason, but I do sell photos. Some of the highlights were of a photo I took in Tasmania. It must have been 6 or 7 years ago, and it was this cute baby wombat being held by a park ranger, and the wombat was in a kind of man-made pouch that simulates the pouch of its mother, and it's just this little furry face sticking out of this simulated pouch. That photo only earned me 33 cents, but I thought it was a cute photo and I was really happy to sell it. Another highlight was I sold 3 photos that I took during my video of taking self-portraits, and I just went out in my car and I simulated different scenarios that you come across in your car. And one of those scenarios was you have to use this safety device to cut your seatbelt off you if you get stuck in your car. And another one was where I was simulating breaking the glass window of my car with like a safety hammer. And I sold 3 photos in that series. In total, those 3 photos earned me $2.77. I also sold a nice photo of a VW Combi on the beach in sunny conditions for $2.97. That was an editorial photo. I think they're all editorial photos so far, yeah. I did sell a commercial photo for $1.87 of a big house spider that I found on my car a few years ago. And the big highlight for Adobe Stock was on the last day I sold a commercial photo of some daffodils shot from below with a blue sky background behind it, and that sold for $26.40. So that gave my monthly total a nice boost just on the last day. And it's such a nice photo as well. It's a beautiful subject, a cheerful, colourful image, so that gave me a lot of satisfaction. In total, I made $39.62 with Adobe Stock. Okay, now I'm going to tell you how much I earned in total for the month of August with all of my stock photography and videography. Before I do that though, if you want to support my channel, slam on that like button, and that will help my YouTube algorithm and get more people coming to my channel, which will mean I can make more videos like this. And if you find this video interesting or useful, maybe consider subscribing to my channel as well. If you want to go the extra mile, feel free to buy me a very milky decaf cappuccino, and the money that you donate for that coffee will help me buy equipment for my cameras and sounds, and just improve the quality of these videos. Okay, without further ado, I made $148 in the month of August from stock photography. I did put a little bit of extra work into it this month, mostly because I started uploading to Wirestock, and I think the extra time I put into Wirestock would have been about 5 hours, including the normal uploading of photos to the other agencies. So $148 for 5 hours work is pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to talk about my experience, my first month's experience with Wirestock. And I'd been hesitant to sign on with Wirestock for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I didn't want to create a large portfolio of work that was being distributed by Wirestock under Wirestock's name instead of my name. And I didn't want to be in a position where I have a portfolio of hundreds or thousands of images and videos that is dependent on one agency. If Wirestock also decide to increase the rate that they charge for distributing your images to all of these different agencies, then you're in a position where you don't really have a choice, because you're committed. The sunk cost fallacy, I suppose, where you've got all of your assets with this agency, and you're probably just going to have to take the hit. So there are a couple of negatives that I was really thinking hard about. The positives, of course, are obvious. You can upload to one agency, and from that one upload, your images and videos will be distributed to several other agencies in one hit, which is going to save you a lot of time, energy and effort. They also throw in the extra benefit of offering keywording and I think captioning, don't quote me on that. But not having to keyword videos and hundreds of images speaks for itself. It's a big incentive to upload to them. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you do want to join up to Wirestock, but you're unsure what to do, go over to Alex Rotenberg's blog, Brutally Honest Stock Photography, and he has a post there that pretty much tells you everything you have to do in order to sign up to Wirestock and upload your assets to that agency and get started. It's really helpful and easy to read. I read it thoroughly before I joined Wirestock, and if you do decide to sign up, use the link in Alex's blog post, and that will give him some help with his blog. That'll help him out a lot. Okay, back to the vid. Another downside that I was contemplating with Wirestock is I had heard or read in comments from people who are saying Wirestock is fantastic, that some people had experience where they'd uploaded photos and videos only to have it sitting in like processing for a long time. So their assets were sitting there doing nothing and not earning them money, which is kind of defeats the purpose of using something like that agency if your assets are just sitting there and doing nothing. But I talked to a few people, and a couple of people that I trust who are in the industry, and they recommended giving it a go. So I've taken the leap. and my first month I uploaded 36 photos. 36 photos got accepted, and 9 videos initially. And it took 2 or so days before they got reviewed, and then they went to processing. So I thought, oh, it'll take a day or so before the agencies process them. So I looked after a couple of days and they were still processing. And after 2 weeks, I thought enough was enough. 2 weeks of my images and videos sitting still, doing absolutely nothing and not earning me any money. I finally took the step and took action after 2 weeks. So I contacted Wirestock and said, I uploaded these photos and videos. They're still sitting in processing after 2 weeks. Why is this happening? And Wirestock, to their credit, got back to me extremely quickly. I think it was within the same day. And they said that because there had been so many contributors sending in their photos and videos, the processing had been delayed. And also the fact that I took the option to let them keyword and I think caption my commercial videos and photos. That also meant that it was going to take longer. So I said, well, if I caption and keyword my own videos and images, will that speed things up? And they said, yes, it would. They also said that they would expedite my photos and videos. And sure enough, within the same day, I think, I saw that all of my videos and photos had gone from processing to accepted. So that was a positive, but it was just a shame that I had to contact them to get my assets out of purgatory. And it looked like a couple of the comments that I had read about this occurring was true. So yeah, some positives and some negatives there. So I've gone ahead and uploaded another 10 to 15 photos and 5 videos, and that was a day or two ago. And they're still in review, so I'll give it another couple of days and see what happens with that, and I just hope that I don't have to contact them again. Because I had uploaded over 36 photos, I was entitled to a bonus from Wirestock, and that bonus was $5. So that was also a positive, that after uploading successfully my first 30 or so photos, they give you a bonus for that. So that's good. So all in all, my first month with Wirestock is mixed. I'm going to continue uploading photos and videos just to see what happens over the next 6 months. I haven't sold any photos or videos on Wirestock yet, and I've been there for about 3.5 weeks now. So it's only the first month, that's to be expected. But over the next 6 months, I'm going to keep an eye on that agency and let you guys know how it's doing. Okay, now for my conclusions about the month of August and what my thoughts are about the future of me and stock photography and videography. And I'd just like to start off that I received a comment with one of my videos, and the person asked me, it was specifically about, I think, a 10-cent sale I was talking about, and how I was proud that this beautiful image of a red deer stag at dawn with a beautiful orange background sold, but it only sold for 10 cents on Shutterstock. And the person was asking, was all the effort and hassle of keywording and captioning and uploading those kinds of photos worth it for just 10 cents? And my answer to that person was, I do think it is still worth the effort, because I'm looking at the long game and the total package of my portfolio rather than these individual sales. And even though I still sell these photos for pitiful amounts like 10 cents, I do sell photos for larger amounts. I have sold a photo for over $600. So as long as those possibilities are still available, I'm going to keep uploading. And when talking about stock photography and videography in general, people say it's a long game. But what does that mean to someone who is just starting? Well, what it means is you should not get into stock photography if you think you're going to make $50 or $30 or more in your first month or your first 3 months. What stock photography means now is you're going to be uploading, keywording, getting out there in public, photographing for months and months of months before you start making money. I realistically only assessed how much money I'd made from stock photography after my first year. I made the decision when I first started, do it for a year and then see if it's worth it for your time. You have to give yourself that amount of time to assess if it's worth it for you. So if you're only doing this for the money, then you have no hope of succeeding in stock photography. If you're doing it because you love the process of hunting for these photos and finding out what sells, what doesn't sell, improving your skills as a photographer, keywording and captioning, and along the way learning from every mistake you make, and working up to that goal of your first year coming into some kind of profit or growth. I decided if I did not see growth after 1 year, then I would give it up because it's just not worth my time. After 1 year, I did see growth, so I enjoyed it so much I decided to keep going. The last 2 years, or last year and a half, has been a freak, a blip on the radar, a glitch in the software with all the catastrophes that have happened. But I am actually hopeful for the future with stock photography at the moment. In the Netherlands, at least, the pandemic is starting to be less of an impact on people's lives. And I also see my sales of photos and videos going up after the last 2 or 3 months. I made a video about 2 or 3 months ago where I had my lowest earnings ever, and I said, you know, I was really disheartened in that video because I'd made so little money from stock photography and videography that month. But 2 months on, I am more optimistic. My numbers are going up. The market is improving. The tourism market is improving. Slowly but surely, each country is clawing its way out of this disaster. So I'm optimistic for the future. What about you guys? Have you had some disasters as well? Let me know how you've gone with your stock photography and videography, or if you want to know anything from my perspective, drop it in the comments. Good luck with all your efforts, hard work, and jumping over those barriers like the rest of us, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!